Alright, I'm making a Logan lathe 10-inch change gear bolt. Now I made this one. It was made out of an 1.25 inch piece of a shaft. Here's a stock one. It's got a square nut. I also made that bolt. I don't know if you can see in there, but this is about a 1/2 inch right here. It's a pretty good size hole. The stock bolts leave a lot of room. Here's another idler and spacer and stuff I made. I made a few extra of these for sale. But what I'm going to try to do now is machine another one that fit in here and then also fit fairly tightly in that big slot. I'll show you what I got so far. Okay, here's my start. This is long enough for the bolt. I'm going to leave this much of it here for machining off a square head, and I'm going to turn down the thickness or a little under it for that slot in there, and then eventually I'll turn this bolt down to the rest of this down to a bolt that'll fit the bushing. So I'm going to measure and turn in the slot collar right now. Alright, the bolt head needs to be 260 thousandths, which is what I've got right here. 262. And then I'm going to measure this part. This is going to be the little shoulder that fits inside the slide. Alright, the collar was 540. 1/2 inch plus 40 thousandths. So I just set this here at 1/2 inch. That'll give me about a 40 thousandths clearance there. Looks a lot bigger than what I actually thought. But now I've got it marked. I'm just going to turn this down to the correct size. Alright, and measuring this, the depth of the slot is 393. So that's how wide the collar is going to be. Alright, the original gap here was 540, so I turned this down to 530. That'll give me 10 thousandths clearance. That should be plenty. And next I'm going to turn that rest of that shaft down to the major diameter of the shaft that I'm going to put through the bushing. Alright, bushing here is 0.318, so I'm going to turn that down to 0.315, give myself a little clearance. Now, bushing is starting to go on there, but it's kind of locking up there. And if I flip it around, I basically have the same deal. The bushing may be a little bigger on one end than the other. The boring bar might have flexed, but it looks like whatever little bit of taper might have been in it from my lathe to be the same from the bushing to the shaft. So I'll just go ahead and take another thousandth off and see how that works out. Well, that worked fine. Went on there really nice. There's no play in it at all. Maybe a thousandths clearance. And it hits here at the end. And it really won't go on at the end. So I think what I've got here is a little ridge on this collar. I'll take that off and see what happens. Yep, that's what it was. I just put a little chamfer on the end of that, and goes right on. Very good. And I'm going to have enough room here for my threads, so I think we'll be good to go. Here's kind of an interesting setup. This is the tailpiece here. This is part of an old live center that I cut off I was trying to make another one, but it just happens to fit this threading die perfectly. I've got it all set up here in back gears, and I'm just going, and then I got it set on the cross slide here so it'll slide along. And I'm just bumping it. Looks like it's feeding. And I'll put pressure on it here with my right hand. Just keeping up with the thread cutting. Looks like it's going in pretty good. I can feel it getting easy in now, and I can see the chips start to come off. So I'll just keep going here till I think I'm about through that die. I think I need to drill my tailpiece. We'll shut it off for now and get that tailpiece out of the way and see what happens. Well, it didn't work out exactly like I planned. Looks like the might have had that major diameter a little big, and the die just stripped the bolt right there. But I think I got enough room on there. It was made plenty long to cut that hole off, so I'm going to turn it down just a little more and try it with a different die. Well, that worked out really well. Not as much thread on there as I would have liked. I think my OD was good. What happened is I just had a bad die, and it wasn't feeding, because I can see the threads are a little thick there. But anyway, I think that's going to be good enough. I'll put a nut on it and see how much slack I got in it, and then I'll set this thing up again. That worked out perfectly well. The gears went on, tighten it up good. I'm still just got a couple thousandths play in it. Everything is turning good. I got plenty of room here on the nut. Like I said, I would like to have a little more and better threads, but I've got basically a full nut's worth. Plenty of room to tighten it. Not really a lot of pressure on this sideways anyway. It's all nice and snug, and might have a degree or two in the gear, which I found that these things, if you get them too tight, they make noise. So far so good. Next thing is to mill some flat places on the end of this bolt here, get it where it'll fit the slide, and give it a try. Now there we go. Worked perfectly well. The nut tightened up well. They need a little better washer there, but the went into the base of the yoke. I didn't even bother machining that one. I just took a grinder to it because I didn't like the threads on it. There's a stock one there, but it works perfectly well. I had to take just a little bit off of the collar right here that fits in the hole, because it was holding it up too high. And I also had to turn the diameter down right here. It was a little too big for that slot. Apparently where I measured it was a bigger place than the rest of it, but now I've got this to the, I know the exact dimensions here, and the gears and everything line up perfectly well. Nothing's touching up here. I've got a couple thousandths clearance. The gears are moving just a little bit, but like I say, it needs some kind of play in there. I don't really have it adjusted properly there. Here's an earlier version. It used a 1/2 inch bolt